7-5 Pogo connector LED test. First step is going to be we're going to want to cut off the heat shrink from one of the two pairs. I did not identify which pair was which, and I think it's going to get confusing later. So you want to carefully slice this off so that you don't damage the pins with the hobby knife or whatever you're using. And you see there a little bit of slice, and then pry it out with some tweezers. And now we've got an exposed pair. I've also got my multimeter here, so we're going to turn the multimeter on to continuity setting, and it's the one that shows the little like an audio tone, like the speaker might look like a Wi-Fi indicator on your phone. And you're going to tap the probes, make sure it's in continuity setting because we can hear the tone now when there's a short. See, here I have the two sets of leads that came out of the box. I've removed the heat shrink. I've applied masking tape to one of the sets so the colors of the leads don't get mixed up with each other. And now I'm going to test for continuity to identify which one is which. Before I try doing that, you want to take the lid adapter and connector with the LED attached and actually put it on top of the shelf adapter. There you go. It's all on there now. That way we're going to be able to identify which is that short where the two pins that we soldered together in the adapter for the LED, or the top and the lid, we'll be able to identify which set of pins those are by using this continuity mode. So first we're going to want to tap the probes to ensure we're on continuity setting. And now we're going to probe the one set of leads. And I've got a tone. So I'm going to remove, my faithful K9. I'm going to remove the lid adapter and test that same wire pair again, and there's no tone. Put the lid adapter back on and test again, and there we go. I've got tone. So I've identified this pair of wires as being for the roof pin, or essentially for the controller to identify when the lid has been replaced, and I'm going to mark it. In fact, I'm going to write on the masking tape that that's for the roof pin. The next, actually more fun part of this build is getting our first real test done, which is testing that we have the connections right from the wire pairs for the LED correctly soldered all the way from the pins that come out the bottom all the way up through to the LED on the top when the lid is replaced, when the connector is on there. If you have a variable power supply or a 3-volt source, you don't need to use a resistor. These LEDs are 3 volts forward voltage, and if you have a variable supply, just knock it down to 3 volts or 2.9, maybe 2.8. All we need to see is the LED light up. In this case, I'm doing it as a self-contained operation, so we're using, in this case, the battery box that came with the kit, and I'm going to turn that on. And you want to make sure that the leads do not touch together because now they're live with should be about 4.5 volts inside the box. So first let's just check and make sure what voltage we have and make sure we did that wiring properly earlier, because as you can see, I've already done the splicing on this from a previous video. And we've got the multimeter in there. And now in this case, we're going to want to touch the light colored wire to the red probe and the dark colored wire, in this case black, to the black probe, and make sure the voltage shows positive. It does, there's no minus sign, and it shows 4.7 volts, which is fine. If you accidentally touch the probes backwards, then it'll show a minus sign in there, and it'll be negative. If you have the red probe on the light colored wire, and you're still seeing negative, that means you soldered the wires on wrong, and you'll probably see a red wire coming out of the box and a dark colored wire soldered to it coming out past the heat shrink. So you want to get that corrected immediately and then come back to this point. The next step of this test is going to be applying the 100 ohm resistor. It's a brown resistor that came with the kit. I made it the 5% tolerance, which is the tan colored or brown, so just to be able to identify it. I've also identified which set of leads is for the LED because I already annotated the leads for the roof pin. So the other ones must be for the LED. The resistor, try to get it in shot. The resistor wire, one leg of the resistor will actually go through the pin of for the LEDs. So I'm going to run that resistor leg through the pin of the light colored wire and give it a little bend to make sure it doesn't fall out. And then I'm going to run the other end of the LED through the pin of the light colored wire to the battery box. There. This is specifically to drop the voltage when we test the LED, because I did find if you don't do this or you leave the power connected for very long, it will kill the LED at some point. And now when we kind of touch the two ground wires together, we should notice that the LED lights up. Now let me swing this over. It's going to be blurry. I apologize. Yeah. Let's see if I can touch this as I touch the leads to get the dark leads together again. There we go. Okay, release the dark leads, touch the dark leads. It's kind of fun. Now we've actually have a sense of progress. Now that we've established that we do have a good connection all the way through from the leads at the bottom of the box to the top, we can now, one, turn off the battery power or your voltage source, whatever you're using, and assume it was 3 volts. It's some kind of weird variable supply. I do have a bench supply, but I can't bring it over here for the video. That was the sole purpose of that LED. You can throw it away if you want, or you can keep it and throw it in your kit. You know, slap a little tape on there. So the batteries are safe. It's turned off, so I don't worry about those leads anymore. I'm putting that aside. And now I've got these 2 leads for the light, the LED top light, and you can go ahead and apply the housing. Remember, as the keyed portion of the housing is facing you. Let me zoom that in. Everything's awkward right now because I got the battery box in here. And of course, everything's going to be moved. The light, I have the pin housing right here, the female pin housing, with the keyed face facing towards you. The wire, light colored wire, goes into the left side with the spine at the back. The spine at the back goes into the left side, and then do the same for the dark one will go on the right and into the housing. I'm not going to slip these all the way in because I don't want them to lock, and I'm going to be removing this because I don't like this box print if I haven't mentioned it. Okay. And once you've done that, will you pull out the connector labels that came in the kit in the flat pack with the signs and everything? Cut out the top light, TOP-LT, I think it's labeled. Cut off that little edge of strip, pull off the backing, and once the housing is on here, and apply that label about 1 inch above where the connector goes. So now we've permanently identified it as the top light. It's fine, got the housing on there. We've got now the connector label on there, so we know what's what later on the build when we've got a bunch of these wires sticking out. Also, since we've already identified which is the roof pin, we taped it off earlier and marked it roof. Since we've already identified it, it's already through the box, you can go ahead and put your the connector housing onto these pins as well. So you've got 2 connections that are complete from top to bottom. And of course, applying the label for this other set of wires that we've marked roof. I believe it's just called roof on the connector labels.